Continuing on from the symptoms of stress, Nick also has behavioural symptoms such as talking, eating or walking fast, moodiness or nervous habits such as biting nails. For example, Nick could bite his nails before the match as he feels nervous. Stress can also be categorised depending on the situation that caused the stress. One category is personal and lifestyle, for example, significant people, isolation or social disapproval. Another one is sporting environment, for example if there's conflict within the team or audience frustration, or unable to meet the demands. For example, Nick might not be able to meet the demands of the opponent or the situation if there's a crowd. Another one, occupational. This could be related to the job. This could be the coach in the scenario, as he's got a new coach which could cause stress as he's not used to them. There could also be a pressure to win, or a target or goal that he wants to achieve. There's also internal factors such as lack of sleep, over self-critical, or injury or illness. For example, Nick could be over self-critical when he misplaces a shot, as it says his performance falls apart when he misplaces a shot. Therefore, he might be overly self-critical, as it could just be a one-off. Another factor is external factors. This could be major life events, negative social interactions, or the environment. One major life event that Nick's got is that he's doing his A-levels, which could be a cause for stress, as he worries about the exams as well as the match. Nick also could suffer from anxiety, as he might have high trait anxiety, as he is anxious in many different aspects of life. For example, in his sport he is anxious, and also in other aspects such as his exams, and he has a built-in worriedness. Situational factors that affect his anxiety, as he is uncertain as the match is important to him. One final theory is the arousal model. As you can see in the bottom corner, this is a graph to show it. This was created by Hannon in 1986. They suggested that there are individual differences in the way that people respond to anxiety, and found that some elite athletes succeed when their anxiety was low, but others achieved when their anxiety was high. Different athletes have different levels of optimal anxiety. Hannon concluded that each athlete has their own levels of optimal anxiety, which will produce their best performance. They suggest that if someone was in the low zone of functioning, which as you can see is the top column, then they would have an introvert personality and they would be likely to perform simple gross skills. They would also be a novice performer, so a beginner, who is learning the associative phase. For example, in Nick's scenario, if he was in this zone, he'd be learning how to hit the shuttlecock well. However, if someone was in the high zone of functioning, at the bottom zone, then they would have an extrovert personality and perform fine, complex skills. They would be in the autonomous phase of learning skills, so it would be natural for them, so they would be experienced. For example, in Nick's scenario, he already knows how to hit the shuttlecock well during badminton. One positive of this model is there is also research to support it. This means that it is more reliable, and therefore we can trust it when using it. It's also a better predictor than the inverted U theory, as it does suggest that each individual is different. However, there are also some criticisms. For example, it doesn't explain why performers are more likely to be in optimal zones. It also doesn't explain situational and personal factors, so we can't predict the optimal zones as easily. For example, some people might be able to cope with the demands of the crowd better than others. Therefore, that can affect their performance. Nick also has cognitive anxiety and somatic anxiety. Cognitive anxiety is when someone thinks it's thinking about something, and he could think that he is unable to play well before the game. He also could have somatic anxiety, which is the perception of physiological changes. For example, as it says in the scenario, Nick feels nauseous before games and never seems to be able to apply the tactics. Being nauseous could be one of the symptoms. He could also have an increased heart rate, or he could have slower and deeper breathing as a result of the anxiety and stress in his situation. To conclude Nick's bit on anxiety, he has high trait and state anxiety as he is anxious in more than one situation in life. Therefore, he might have high trait anxiety, but he definitely has high state anxiety during a match, as he feels nauseous before games. He also has competitive anxiety, as it occurs during a competitive match and when there is a crowd and other factors affecting him.